Hey guys, thanks so much in joining us for the recapping of the testimonies from the speakers on our first ever testimony night. You are about to listen to Rachel Warren. She is a part of a mother-daughter duo that actually shared. And she shares a little bit on how the Lord actually came to her through a high school boyfriend. The twists and turns in her story are just so unique and so clearly the Lord. But if you listen to hers, you got to listen to Brooke's too, because they kind of interconnect, and it's super, super cool to hear both of their stories just together and how God works through the generations. You're going to be joining into her video as she's kind of explaining how her and her husband lead a church. Her husband is a lead pastor at a church, and so she's a pastor's wife.
We're celebrating 30 years of pastoring this year. So excited to be able to share my testimony. So I was 16 years old when the Lord found me. And I was from a broken home, a combined family. I was the youngest of 5 kids. All of the adults in my life were addicted to something, mainly alcohol. And my siblings were also very addicted to things as well. And I was much younger than all of them. So I found myself wallowing in this family that was very broken and hurting. And so at 16 years old, a lady came into my life named Patricia Vess, and I was dating her son in high school, and instantly she really just began rescuing me from myself. And she saw something in me and knew that the Lord could make a difference in my life. And so as I started to cling to that family and they started to love me to health, as I always like to say, I found a very beautiful, meaningful relationship with Jesus in all of that. And I gave my heart to the Lord at 16. After a couple of years, backing up, right after that time, what should have been a glorious time of celebrating, this newfound faith, it kind of turned into kind of sadness and wallowing, like in my own self-pity, that I was in this family that was so dysfunctional and fractured. And so I found myself focusing so much on that and then feeling sorry for myself that I didn't have a support system for my newfound faith. I'm the only Christian in my family. There's nobody that understands me. No one can support me. Nobody is cheering me on. And so as a young girl, 16, it's easy to look inward because it's hard when you're surrounded by all of that. And so one day I was reading my Bible and something just so profound happened. I just flipped open my Bible, and in Deuteronomy chapter 5, it talks about how the sins of the fathers are passed on to the 3rd and 4th generation, but the blessings of God are passed on to 1,000 generations of those who love him. And it occurred to me in that moment, wow, this is so profound. I actually have a chance to change the course of my life, the trajectory of my legacy, of what my future is going to look like. My children will not be affected by the sins of my parents. Something new is happening in me, and perspective changes everything. And so I want to encourage somebody today, if you're having trouble in the spot that you're in, the Lord will give you a new perspective if you ask him. He is so faithful to do that. And that moment was life-changing for me. And the other beautiful thing about it was his word that changed me. It was his very word that he gave us. And so there is life in that Bible. And it has the answers that we need. And so after dating, Barry was his name, after dating him for a couple of years and just growing in my faith so much, the time came where we parted ways. And after a couple of months, I started dating my now husband of 37 years, Ken Warren. And we started dating right before graduation in high school. We didn't really know each other in high school. We were both in the same grade, but we really didn't know each other until right at the last second, like literally in April of our senior year. We started dating, and our relationship moved along really quickly because he was called into ministry, and I also felt a calling to ministry. So we just had such a beautiful commonality in that our relationship just grew so quickly. And so one day I called up Pat Vess to talk to her because I had missed her so much because she was such an integral part of my life. And so I called her just to tell her I'm still alive and I'm still doing good. And to also just to hear her sweet voice, because she was so precious. And so I told her, I said, I'm dating someone. And she said, oh, I just knew that one day you would call me and you would tell me that you were dating somebody. And I just knew it would happen one day. And she said, well, who is it? And I said, well, his name is Ken Warren. And she goes, Ken Warren? She said, I am a Christian because of Ken Warren's mom, Joyce Warren.
Let's go.
And I said, really? No way. And she said, yes. She said, we used to sit at baseball games with our little boys playing baseball. You know how that is. You're at the baseball field every night talking to the parents, and you become good friends with all the parents around you. And Joyce would talk about the Lord all the time and about what the Lord was doing in her life. And her faith made me so hungry to have a faith of my own that I started attending church and I gave my heart to the Lord. And it's because of her. And I often think about that and how God used my mother-in-law to impact a woman who would impact me, and how that all came full circle. And now, so amazingly, we have our own 5 children that we're impacting. And yes, it's amazing. And our 3 grandchildren. And the legacy just goes on and on. And so I'm so grateful for the Lord and how he gives us a new perspective and how he brought all of that full circle. And so I'm so thankful that I got to share that with you. It's been a wonderful journey. And so I'm just so thankful. It is so true. Sharing our testimony, it does so much for us. So at this time, I want to introduce my daughter, Brooke, to you. She is one of the ones that were impacted in our life by my story. And yes.
Thank y'all so much for listening to Rachel's testimony. If you listen to this one, you got to listen to her daughter, Brooke. She is also posted in this same folder on our page. But if you liked it, please leave a like, comment, subscribe to our channel, follow us on socials. Any engagement that you give us with our accounts, it helps us to keep doing what we're doing. We love you guys.